Tatparam Paryaya Vidmahi Jnanalingeshwaraya Dhimahi Tanno Guru Prachodayate Om Yogamaharishi Dr. Swami Gitananda Giri Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Om Puduvai Kalaimamani Puduvai Shakti Yogacharini Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Guru Mata ki Jai. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Namaste, Vanakkam, Swagatam, Bonjour, Buongiorno, Buonasera, Buonanotte, Huya More, Boreda, Kiora, Salamat Pagi, Ayubovan, Ayushman Baba, Shubdinam, Suprabhad, Salom. Thank you for joining me for yet another scintillating Saturday or fabulous Fridays. And yes, today we are looking at the amazing topic of the Anda Chakras. We have seen earlier that the chakras, 12 in number in the Gitananda tradition, have been subdivided into 6 and 6. The higher 6, the lower 6, the unmanifest 6, the manifest 6, the causal 6, the manifest 6. Another way to think of these. Andam, Pindam. Pinda as the body, the human body. So there are 6 lower chakras associated with the human body itself at the level of the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, and beginning with Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, Anahata, Vishuddha and up to Ajna. These are the Pinda chakras. But then beyond that we have the Anda chakras, the cosmic egg. That egg from which everything has come, the source. So the term Andam and the term Karana. Karana means causal, as in the 3 bodies. Sthula Sharira, the physical manifest body that is the lowest level of vibration and the grossest manifestation of who we are. Sthula Sharira. Sukshma Sharira, that which is the most subtle aspects of who we are. And Karana Sharira, that which is the causal aspect of who we are. So these 6 higher chakras, the Anda chakras, can also be called Mahakarana Chakra. Maha, the grand, Karana, causal centers. So the term Anda Chakra refers to the cosmos, Anda Charachara, as we refer to the cosmos in our Indian terminology. Anda Charachara, Chara, Achara, that which is moving, living, and that which is not moving, not living. So the universe that consists of that which is alive and not alive, the living and the non-living, the manifest and the non-manifest, the movable and the immovable, all that which is constituted of this universe, Anda Charachara. So these centers, they could be the Anda chakras, or they could be considered the Mahakarana chakras, the grand, great causal bodies that have enabled us to manifest through the energy. When we want to understand them, it's a bit more difficult. Because with the Pinda chakras, it is easy to have a physical correlate. So as we have seen previously, Mooladhara associated with the gonads at the endocrine level, associated with the sacral plexus and the nerves at the physical level, associated with the sense of smell and locomotion at the sensual level, solidarity, cohesiveness at the psychological level. All of these characteristics of the lower centers, you can have a physical correlate, an endocrine gland. You can have a nerve plexus. You can have some psychological qualities, because they are related to who we are at this level of existence, the Pinda. But the Anda chakras, there are no points there, because it is just the grand space. They are the cosmos. And, when you are in the center of the cosmos, There are no neon signs telling you this is the center of the cosmos. It's like, the tip of the peak of Mount Everest, when it was first climbed, never had a sign up there saying this is the highest peak in the world. Now tourists have put up signs there, and the tourism board will have a snack bar up there. That's a different issue. The North Pole, the South Pole, these didn't have neon signs till human beings went there. Maybe we will start putting up neon signs in space. This is the center of the galaxy. Where I studied my medical training, the Nagpur University, the center of India actually is Nagpur. And there is actually a stone in that city. When I first visited it with Ammaji, before starting my medical training, we were looking around the city and understanding the university, and then going to Varda, Savangi, where I did my training at JNMC, that is now one of India's top deemed to be universities, Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Sciences. But when we went to Nagpur, I was so surprised, because there was actually a stone. There was a stone that said, this is the center of India. They had a stone actually. This is the center of India. Because if you look at India and you look at the length and breadth, you find a center point. That is actually Nagpur. So we human beings put that center point. But the universe doesn't have it. Because the universe cannot be put in a box. The universe cannot be limited. We can be limited in our perspective of the universe. The universe is never limited. And this is why we have to realize the Anda Chakras, the Mahakarana Chakras. These centers, they are beyond our comprehension, beyond our physical correlation. So when we talk about them, normally after the Sahasrara, which we saw last week, how the whole cerebral cortex, the pineal gland were associated. But after that, it is very difficult to have actual correlations. So Sahasrara was the seventh, and in the seven chakra system or the six chakra system, it is a conglomeration of the energies representing all the higher six. But as we saw last week, you can consider it as number 7 of 12. You can consider it as the combination of all the higher six. So you have the Shat Chakra system of the 6 chakras, and then everything above it is just cosmos. You have the 7 chakra where 6 plus 1, and then that 1 represents the higher 6. And then we have the 12 chakra system where the 7th was the 7th of 12. So Sahasrara has the 7th of 12. So it is the first of your Anda Chakras. And it has the correlation with your cerebral cortex, all the infinite connections that are giving us the name Sahasra, thousands, which means countless. The relationship with the pineal gland, the seat of the soul according to René Descartes, and the third eye according to so many spiritual traditions. How the circadian rhythms, our ultradian rhythms, the infradian rhythms, all the chronobiology we have seen last week. Now from 7 you can go up to 8. So what is this 8? 8 is a chakra called Narayana. And it is depicted in our 12 chakra system as an energy center out the left side of your ear. And in case you are confused that I am showing the right, this is because it is reversed on Facebook. Okay, my camera when I do a live reverses, so this is actually my left hand, not my right, okay? Don't get confused. So outside the left outer part of your head, it doesn't mean your left ear, okay? But it's out here, that is where that energy is depicted for an understanding. Whereas outside the right, we have the energy of the next one, which is the 9th chakra, Brahmanan. So we have a Narayana Chakra, Brahmananda Chakra. So Narayana refers to Vishnu's abode, the 8th center. Vishnu's abode, Lord Vishnu, whereas 9 is Brahma's abode, Brahmananda, where the bliss of the Brahma state is there. The 8th center, Narayana, Swamiji used to tell us, is very much related to the physical manifestation of being born. Because it is Lord Narayana, Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu, who keeps on incarnating again and again, and that is why all of us human beings are called Nara, because we are the physical manifestation, incarnation of the divine Narayana. So Nara Narayana concept comes in. Nara, Nari. Nara is the human being, Nari is the female. So man and woman, masculine, feminine. Nara, Nari. That's why Ardhanarishwara for Shiva, Nari, woman. Feminine part of Shiva. So here, the 8th center is the center that allows us to take birth. So the Swamiji used to say that it is through the center that the Atma that is searching for an incarnation can actually come and be incarnated at the physical plane. And if this center is blocked, now the center is not blocked, but our connection to the center is blocked for whatever reason, there is a difficulty in giving birth. There is a difficulty in manifesting the birthing process of incarnation. And he used to say that often many people, physically all the reproductive system is fine in the husband and wife, but they are not able to have children. He said often this was a block at the level of the 8th center, the Narayana center, Narayanana. Similarly, Brahmananda is Brahma's abode. And here it is all the creativity. Center 9 is all the creativity that you can think of, the creative manifestation. So 8 was the manifestation of incarnation. Here it is a more subtle aspect of manifesting all the aspects of your incarnation in Brahmananda. So normally when we talk about the tantric system in the Gitananda tradition, from chakra 1 to 9, these are related to the different birth paths. And when we are born, what happens is that one center opens at birth. And this depends on the day, month and year in which we are born. That center then governs the energy throughout our lifetime. And during different phases of life, another center opens, again based on month, day and year. That gives us the different physical, mental, emotional, psychological, social and spiritual qualities that manifest. So suppose somebody is what we would call a 9 birth path, an 8 birth path. These are the centers we are talking about. That for that 8 birth path, the Narayana Chakra is open at birth. And the opening of the Narayana Chakra enables them to manifest order in this universe. They create order, they create structure. And that is why they are the management people. They are the people who are executives. Because Brahma creates, Shiva transforms, and Vishnu manages. So the 8 energy is an energy of manifestation of management skills. Now this person may not have that skill, but life is saying you better learn that skill while you are here on this planet during this lifetime. But then if you look at the 9th center, Brahmananda, it is a center which is much more wider, more spacious. And when we are incarnating manifestation, it is always from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the process of manifestation, what we call evolution. So evolution or manifestation is from the causal 12 down to the grossest level, which is 1. But then when we retrace our way back, involution back to the source, which is the whole goal of yoga, that is parinama, which is pratiprasava, going back to the source. Now that pratiprasava starts with 1 and goes up to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Manifestation is 12 down. So in the process of manifestation, the 9 birth path, which is Brahmananda Chakra, remember outside the right side, on this area here, as opposed to the area here. Now here means you have to also think of it in a little more, not just a linear, but a more spiral and multidimensional perspective. We have to expand our perspective that way. So the Brahmananda is the first opportunity that we are coming down into this existential plane called Bhumi, Prithvi, to work out our karma on Karma Bhumi. But the first one is 9. So this is why 9 is still very much caught up with the big picture. 9 is still caught up with that universality and doesn't have so much of individuality. Whereas by the time you go through the different incarnations, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, by the time you come to 1, you have really solidified in individuality. So the 1 has that great individuality, whereas 9 has more of universality. So this is how the chakra system is related to the birth path and our yantric understanding of what is our dharma. What is our dharma marga? What is the path for which we have been born? What is our ikigai? What is the purpose of our existence? So 8 and 9, Narayana and Brahmananda, are still having some correlation to individuality, but a bit more subtle. 7, 8, 9 a bit more subtle compared to 1 to 6. But then when we come to 10, 11, 12, there we really struggle, because 10 is at the top of the head, right out here. Just above the top of the head. That is Trikuti. Trikuti. Trikuti is a center which is at the top of the head, and this is the center through which we are meant to leave the body. So when we leave the body on that final expiration, we have to leave the body through the Trikuti, and that will enable us to move into the highest state of being. And this is why in many Indian traditions, when people die and they are cremated, the skull is broken for that process to occur. People have taken it literally, breaking the skull. No. It is leaving the body through the top of the head. It is a metaphorical energy to be worked on, not breaking somebody's skull, but we human beings are so thick-skulled that we take everything literally and we break skulls. Top of the head, Trikuti. It is also called Kali Chakra. Ma Kali Devi. What an amazing energy. Swamiji used to say, Ma Kali, she is the divine midwife. She is the divine midwife who works on this energy. Trikuti. Kali Padma. And he said, she is the one who makes sure you are ready to live through that side. She is the one who is making sure that you are ready to leave once and for all. And if not, she is up there saying, get down there and go through the process before you come up here. A beautiful energy. We only think of Kali as that very fierce form. The mother has to be everything, okay? The Kali Chakra, Trikuti Chakra. And Trikuti Chakra has within it the Trikuti Bindu, which we do in our Sapta Bindu Dharana. Remember, the Agya is a chakra with a Bindu, Agya Bindu. Trikuti is another chakra with a Bindu in it. These are the two chakras having Bindus, focal points there. And yes, everybody is talking about Kali because of some idiots who want to make themselves popular, so let's not make them popular. Let's go back to the source and say, Ma Kali, may we be worthy children of you. May we be worthy children of the Divine Mother. This is the energy, Trikuti, through which you breathe in and breathe out. When you breathe out, you have to go up this central path and leave through here. That is what you are supposed to do. So that the highest level of being can manifest. So the 8th chakra, Narayana, which is related to the incarnation. Brahmananda related to the universality of expression in this, wherever we are. And Trikuti, the 10th chakra, that is the center of escape from the three pains. It is said we have three sufferings, tapatraya. Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika and Adhyatmika. The tapatraya, threefold suffering. To escape the threefold suffering, to go beyond sorrow into that eternal state of being, that the Trikuti chakra is there. Above that to the right is the Swami Nana. Swami Nana, which also is called Swami Nendra. It is the center of the self, where you are self-possessed. You have understood the self completely. Where you have transcended all the lower aspects of existence, all the lower aspects of identification that are based on avidya, leading to asmita and the raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, transcending all of this into that Swaminana, Swaminendra, the 11th center, where you are capable of understanding who you are truly, the highest level of the mind. Going into that highest level of the mind that enables us to move from being humane into divine. Swaminana, Swaminendra. And then the 12th chakra, Muktana. Sometimes Swamiji used to also use the word Mokshana, but more commonly Muktana. The center of liberation. This center is the center of freedom, because it is in tune with the highest universality. The highest universality of the Mahakarana Chakras, the Anda Chakras, the Mahakarana Chakras, the highest level of freedom is the Muktana. And that is why in the manifestation we come down from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we are very much in this existence. That is why the Pinda chakras very much bind us to the body. The Anda chakras are the causal centers, Mahakarana. So they are the ones that are beyond the body, because they are subtle, they are causal. They are the cause behind everything. That is why it is said that Lord Shiva dances his Tandava. Andamum pindamum adidave. He is dancing that cosmos. Andamum pindamum adidave. Yendisayum pugal padidave. Andamum pindamum adidave. Tatajam takudagida takatatajam. That's how he is dancing. Tatajam takudagida takatajam takajam takatajam takudagida takatajam takadam takadam tatajam takudagida takatajam takudagida tajam tajam tangida takatajam tajam tangida takatajam tajam 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 tangida tangida tajam tajam tangida tangida tajam tajam nattanamadidam padame thunai. That is the way Lord Shiva is dancing. Andam and Pindam. That Andam, which is the causal, these centers, Sahasrara, Narayanana, Brahmananda, Swaminana, Muktana, and Trikuti. Trikuti, remember, it's at the top. So, you have the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the 10 is the top of the head. Never get that confused. 10, the Trikuti is the top of the head, because that's the way you want to leave the body when you finally leave. So that there is that escape from the threefold suffering. All the Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika suffering, Dukkha, Tapa can be eradicated, and you are liberated once and for all into that original state of existence, which is pure consciousness, Purusha. Now, Swamiji often reminded us that these centers don't have a physical correlate. He said 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He said these are very universal. And especially when you get into the top 3, there's actually no connection at all because it's so universal. He said these top 3 centers, Trikuti, Swaminana, Muktana, he said they are opened at every birth. So if you remember, I said when we are born, depending on the month, day and the year, one of the first 9 centers will open. And that energy is the energy that then is our energy source for this existence, propelling us through this lifetime with all the experiences we are going to have, good, bad and ugly. But 10, 11, 12, they are open at the birth for everyone. And hence they are the Mahakarana 3, which are common to all. That is why they have no individual differentiation. They are very, very universal. Swaminana, Trikuti, Swaminana, Muktana. If you look at it, Trikuti, that escape from the 3 pains, threefold suffering has to be there for everybody. Swaminana, everybody has to realize the self. And Muktana, everybody has to attain freedom. There's no individuality there. It's all for the universal. It's common for everyone. It's like give everybody $1 million. Now the problem is then $1 million will have no physical value because everybody has $1 million. So it's equal to everybody being at 0 level again. That's the problem with these things. So these 3 centers are common to everyone. They are common to everyone. Swami used to say these are the 3 wise men who come to every birth. We talk of the 3 wise men from the east who came to the birth of Jesus Christ. Well, Swami used to say these are the 3 wise men who come to the birth of every divine soul who incarnates on this plane of existence. So those 3, he said, are beyond it all. From 9 onwards, you start to have a bit of individuality. Remember, I said 9 is the first time the universe is learning to be an individual. So it's a bit difficult. Because it's so used to, it's like an elephant trying to learn to be an ant. Okay, it's going to be very tough. Because the universe has to learn. It's the ocean has to learn to be in a cup. So it's very difficult. Because though the ocean is in the cup, it's still thinking like an ocean. What a beautiful way. What a beautiful way to understand how this comes. So 9, 8 down, it is a bit individualized. But 10, 11, 12, universalized, commonalized. So, despite that statement, what Swamiji tried to do was he tried to give a correlate. And he said, with the Sahasrara we have talked about the pineal gland. And what Swamiji did was actually he talked about it as the medulla being related. This is actually from one of the old typed manuscripts Swamiji had typed out, hand typed. Where he talks of Sahasrara, the 1,000-petaled abode of Shiva, he said the body root is the Brahma. The Brahma is the body root, the center, and the medulla, the nerve connection. Medulla refers to your brainstem, and which keeps everything going, and the pineal gland. Now when he talks of Narayana, he says Vishnu's abode, and he said the left outside of the head is the energy, but he said it's related to cerebellum. And this, I love this correlation because cerebellum is the center of coordination and balance. If your cerebellum is damaged, you lose all balance and coordination. You cannot touch your finger to the nose. You cannot walk in a straight line if cerebellum is damaged. Well, people who are drunk also have that problem, but that's a different story. Cerebellum as the body root. He said the body root is cerebellum. The body root is the cerebellum for this, Narayana. And the left outside of the head is where the energies are depicted. And he said the plexi, the nerve plexi, he said all the efferent nerves, which means the motor nerves. Again, a very beautiful correlation if you think about it through what we can call metaphysiology. The function of management, remember Narayana, manager, keeping everything going, conservation, making sure everything is organized, CEO. You need a lot of motor function, you need a lot of motor commands coming down. So the efferent nerves, E, coming down from the brain to the body saying, do this. That whole efferent nerve system, Swamiji said, can be related. Though he did say these have no correlation, he did try to correlate, and he said, the efferent nerves, which are the nerves supplying each and every part of your body and commanding the different forms of activity, systematizing activity, creating a system, as should be done by a CEO, Narayana, comes through the efferent nerves. When he talked of the Brahmananda contrary, he said the cerebrum, the corpus callosum connecting the right and left hemispheres, and the cerebrum, he has connected to the Brahmananda, cerebellum to the 8th center and cerebrum to the 9th center. And very beautifully he has connected the afferent nerves, the sensory nerves that are coming to the brain from the whole body, he has connected to this. A beautiful sensitivity of the 9, receiving all the inputs from all sensations. All the sensations from all parts of the body coming up, the afferent nerves to the cerebrum, so that you can understand what's happening in the universe around you. 8, you do something about it. Motor, efferent nerves, afferent nerves, you understand the universe. You have that refined sensitivity to understand what is happening in the universe around you. 9 birth path, Brahmananda Chakra, afferent nerves. What a beautiful correlation. These correlations are total metaphysiology. And Swamiji brought this into his yogic psychic neurology. Last year we had a beautiful 12-lesson course on that, which I do recommend for those of you who love these concepts, where we looked at the psychic neurology of yoga. Not just the physical neurology, but the psychic neurology. The way these correlations are made is stupendous. And as a medical scientist, as a yoga scientist, as a human being, as someone searching for greater purpose in this life, these teachings are enriching. They nourish our journey. So the 8th, we said, is the cerebellum and all the efferent nerves activity. Brahmananda, cerebrum, and all the afferent nerves. The afferent nerves for sensitivity. And then Trikuti, the 3 pains escape. And what a beautiful thing Swamiji gave. He said the foramen of Magendie. The foramen of Magendie is a very beautiful correlation for anyone who understands the circulation of cerebrospinal fluid in and around the brain and up and down your spinal cord. There is fluid that is within us, about 150 ml. And that fluid is secreted in the ventricles, which are the central hollow areas of your brain. See, when the human brain is formed and develops, there is a hollow center. There is a neural tube, and that center, then as it curves and bends and elongates, those internal aspects become the ventricles. They become ventricles. The lateral ventricle, the third ventricle, fourth ventricle and all. So there is that area, the foramen of Magendie, through which this fluid escapes. The fluid escapes, and what does it mean escape here? The connection between your spinal cord circulation of the CSF in and around your spinal cord and in and around your brain, that connection is the foramen of Magendie. It is when you can move between the spinal cord level and the cerebral level. What a beautiful escape is happening, because as long as you are locked in your spinal cord mentality, you are going to suffer the three pains, tapatraya, dukkhatraya, and you have to escape foramen mejendi, through which the CSF escapes, and you also escape metaphorically, energetically, subtly, causally. Beautiful correlations. I tell you, this correlation that Swamiji has given is out of not just this world, out of this universe. That center is how it's happening. And what is the nerves he has correlated? The sympathetic nerve system. The sympathetic nervous system of your autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic, which is primarily your spinal. See the top, craniosacral. The cranium and the lower part of the spinal cord, which is the sacral part. That is the only parasympathetic. Thoracolumbar. 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar. 17 regions are only giving you sympathetic nerves. Sympathetic nerves. So the whole sympathetic activity, which is fight and flight and freeze, and all to do with survival. And why do we want to survive? Because we are suffering. The three sufferings. The sympathetic nerve system, which is about all the suffering and how you relate to the suffering and the stress. The escape through the foramen mejendi. The escape through the top of the head, which is the Trikuti. Bingo. It all comes together. It is in times like this that I get a bit mad at Swamiji. He had promised Amma he'll live to be 130, okay? Which means he should have been alive now. What a joy it would have been to discuss these concepts with him when finally my brain is working. I was too young to understand his brilliance. By the time I am old enough to understand his brilliance, but he is within me. So what do I have to do? Go inside. Ask myself the question. And suddenly the answers come. So though physically I miss him, though physically he is not there to discuss these things, imagine sitting. You know, what a beautiful correlation. How does this correlation come, Swamiji? The sympathetic nerve system pulls us deeper, 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 deeper into the quagmire of suffering. And we need to outgrow that stress response. We need to outgrow that stress response. That is when you outgrow it, bingo, escape, Trikuti. And Ma Kali Devi is there saying, come my child. You are ready to be born into the higher life. Swaminana. Swaminendra, Swaminana. Swamiji links it to the optic thalamus. Now, what is this optic thalamus? You know, in your thalamus, in your brain, in the center, there is the thalamus. The thalamus is related to our all the sensations in the body go through the cerebrum, go to the cerebrum through the thalamus. It's the relay center for all sensation except smell. Smell goes straight. All the others, they go through the thalamus. And an important part of the thalamus is called the optic thalamus. The optic thalamus is that part related to what we are seeing. So what do we see? Now, this is not just about the physical seeing that we talk about. Okay, I see a tree, I see a dog, I see a human being, I see a monkey, I see the sky. So that information goes into the optic nerve, the optic thalamus, and all that suprachiasmatic nucleus and all of that stuff, the light goes in to the optic area and you see it physically. You understand what you're seeing. But here the Swami Nana, Swami Nendra is where you have finally seen your real self. You have transcended the avidya, the ajnana. You transcend the limitation brought on by ignorant identification to that which is not you. And you can see, I see, finally I see who I truly am. I have understood who I truly am, what I truly am. Swami Nana, you rise into that awareness. And Swamiji says, this governs at what is called the emotional mind level. A very beautiful term. Swami Nana is at the emotional mind level. Where does the emotion interact with the cognition? The emotional cognitive linkage is the Swami Nana. Where you have that emotion. This is why I am never hesitant in expressing emotion. Because it has great power to channelize into a new dimension. Repressing, suppressing the emotion is where we start to go blind. You have to let the emotion come into the mind. So it's not, lower emotions that are, just outbursts, but it is channelizing the emotion into a higher cognitive ability where you start to realize who you truly are. You are using the emotional power to channelize your growth into who you are, into self-realization. This Swami Nana is where that self-realization starts to awaken in us. We realize the self, the higher self, who we truly are. We see optic thalamus, emotional, mental level. And Muktana, Swamiji had to really struggle, I think, to get this. So he's given a beautiful correlate. He said the body root for it is the subarachnoid cavity. What beautiful metaphors here. Inside your skull, between your skull and your brain, there are some very beautiful coverings. When you order something on Amazon or anything, they usually send you the fragile items well packed. You have all that internal packing. Similarly, a very beautiful layer of coverings. You have the tough dura matter. You have the paya matter, which is stuck. And then you have the arachnoid. Dura, paya, arachnoid. And what happens is there is a subarachnoid cavity. There is a small space which is the subarachnoid cavity, where you have all this cerebrospinal fluid circulating happening. You remember the circulation of the cerebrospinal fluid? This is a space. Being blessed with a light drizzle right now. The space that lies within us, that enables us to connect to the higher space, which is the highest level of freedom. Space implies freedom. Akasha Tattva implies freedom. Now this is not just the ordinary Akash, this is the Parama Akash. This is the Chiddakash and beyond that. You are going into that freedom, that Muktana, which is the ultimate space of eternal freedom, of Mukti, Moksha, Kaivalya, Nirvana. And the subarachnoid cavity, that space around your brain, is there to remind you there is that space of transcendence. Because emotional, mental, and from emotional, mental, we have to go to what is called psycho-mental level. The psycho-mental level, where you actually ultimately understand who you are and you're connected to it. Now, the difference in the term psyche between the Eastern and Western approaches is, in Western approaches, normally psyche refers to the emotions and thoughts. That is what we call psyche. But when you talk about the Eastern approach, psyche refers your connection right back to who you truly are. That Purusha, that Ishvara, that up to that the connection is psyche. That is why psychosomatics in Western system is only from the emotion mind downwards to the body. But in the Eastern it is Adi Vyadi. It is going all the way back to your connection with the supreme pure consciousness that you are. So the psycho-mental connection that we have to access for the maximum freedom, for that eternal freedom to manifest, that is coming through that 12th center, Muktana. These centers, these are centers that are universal. These are Mahakarana. And often it is difficult to understand. So what I used to tell people, a very simple rule of thumb. As above, so below, as below, so above. Andathil ullade pindam, pindathil ullade andam, andamum pindamum ondre, arindu thaan paarkum podu. What's in the cosmos is in you. What's in you is the cosmos. The cosmos and you are one. You will realize when you are still. When you are still. And when you realize there's no dichotomy. We are the cosmos is us. So if that is true, the higher six and the lower six, imagine they come together like they are one and they have been split apart into 12, but you can bring them down. And when you do that, you realize the seventh chakra, Sahasrara, can be understood as a more subtle expression of Mooladhara. So you take Mooladhara and now try to understand it at a new level, you will have Sahasrara. You take Swadhisthana, you want to understand it at a new level, you understand 8, Narayana. You take third chakra, Manipura, and you will start to understand Brahmananda, the 9th center. You take the 4th center, Anahata, and you will start to understand the 10th center, Trikuti. You take the 5th center. What is the 5th center? The 5th center is Vishuddha. And you will start to understand what is the 11th center, which is Swaminana. And you start to understand Ajna Chakra at a new level. You will start to understand Muktana. So the key here is that you cannot directly work with those higher 6. They are trans-physical. They are trans-individual. You have to go beyond us. But you can work with the lower 6. So when we work on the lower 6 chakras, which are within our scope of practice, when we work on the lower 6 chakras, our scope of practice, we are expanding our consciousness into these higher 6 Anda Chakras. This is the way to grow. This is the way for us to be the best version of ourselves and to start walking back on this path from the self to the self, through the self. This Saturday morning, I wish that each and every one of us would start to live these teachings. These are not just philosophical concepts and theories. These are teachings that have to be part of our life. They are life enriching. They are life sustaining. They are transforming. They are transcendental. And as a human being, once we have an opportunity to know about these teachings, it becomes our responsibility to then live them to the best of our ability. May you all be blessed and be a blessing wherever you are. May these teachings come alive through you May we all grow and glow together in yoga. Namaste, Dhanyavadaha. Thank you so much. Nandri, Vanakkam.